Just About Sailing, January 2020. Happy New Year and welcome aboard. Got a few new, well, quite a few new subscribers this year, and it's partly because of the Chinese diesel heater. And I did say that Chinese diesel heaters are becoming as popular on YouTube as cat videos. That's just the way it goes. So I thought I'd do a few introductions and also an update on the plan, because normally what I want to do in January is go to the London Boat Show and have a quick look at that, but the London Boat Show is no more. It didn't happen last year, it's not happening this year. Maybe next year I'll go to Dusseldorf. I'd love to do that. I couldn't do it this year for various reasons. So yeah, let's do a few introductions then for both new viewers and also to give you an update of what's going on this year, because the plans have changed, partly or largely actually to do with health reasons. This is not a channel about an old grey-haired bloke moaning about his health the whole time. If you do want more details on that, have a look back in May 2019 where I sort of talked about that stuff. But basically the deal is things are sort of on the mend, but slowly now, and I'm hoping to get back to between 50 and 70% of strength by the end of this year. That means that my original plan, which was to go sailing around the Mediterranean and Greece, that's really out of the question at the moment for a few years until I really get up to strength. So I have revisited my plans. So here we go, let's have an introduction first, and I'm going to show the plans up there in a second. Let's have a bit of an introduction. My name is Paul. The channel is Just About Sailing, not because it's only about sailing. The just about bit means just about hanging on by my fingernails. It's that kind of just about. I'm just about managing to sail. So that's where the original title came from. There will be a video out each month. There might be more. I do these videos really as a bit of a video diary for me to look back on once I have retired and I'm in my dotage, etc. I don't monetize it, so you shouldn't see advertisements. Certainly don't do Patreon and any of that stuff. And I really welcome comments, because if I do DIY work, and there has been quite a lot of DIY work, don't copy me, really don't copy me, because a lot of this stuff is new to me. I do have a reasonably methodological way of actually going through things, but the comments are great. A lot of people who watch this channel know an awful lot more about this stuff than I do, so read their comments and then it's up to you what mistakes you make. And I do tend to reply to comments, so as I say, I do welcome comments. But I found some footage the other day, and this is really quite, I think, heartrending. Previously unseen. So this is the first time I saw my boat, Serenity, and somebody was taking some video of me with the broker. He was actually trying to sell me a completely different craft, a completely different ship, and I turned around, saw Serenity, and the rest is history. So yeah, let's just have a quick look at this.
Yep, real beauty, ain't she? Yes, sir. A right smart purchase, this vessel. I'll tell you what, you buy this ship, treat her proper, she'll be with you for the rest of your life. Son? Hey, son. You hear a word I've been saying?
So there you go, it brings a lump to my throat every time. As I say, previously unseen. And the other thing about this channel, it's not serious, and I'm not going to let it get serious. If you want a review of last year, watch the Christmas special, and I can promise you that is not serious. So what we're going to be doing then? Well, you may have noticed in the background there have been two books that have sort of always hanging around in the bookshelves. One is the Greek Waters Pilot, because this is my end term goal. This is what I really want to do. I've wanted to do that for a very long time. But another book that's been hanging on is this book by Hamish Haswell Smith about the Scottish Islands. It's not a sailing book, but it's a lovely book about the islands. He has done some sailing there, and there is another book he's done. So I've broken down the tasks of things that I need to do into four areas. Let's show this up here. These are the tasks. If it's struck through in green, by the way, if it's highlighted in green completely, that means it's pretty much finished. If there's just a bit of green, that means the job has started, but yet to be finished. So number one, the top left-hand side, these things that I absolutely must do to even get the boat back in the water. So these are musts, they're non-negotiable, or because they're half done and they need finishing off. Number two, which is the other one at the top, this is where I ideally want to be. Well, this is where I will be by the end of this year, is back in the water and at least able to do day sails. So possibly staying in a marina somewhere. I don't know where. I've started to look at a few options. Obviously, I'd lived on board for 2 years in Watchet previously, so similar sort of thing, but I would like somewhere where I've got access at all tides, because that wasn't the case in Watchet. And then number 3 is those extra things I would need to do to be able to sail safely and live at anchor in Scotland. And number 4 is real voyaging stuff to going off to the Mediterranean, to Greece and so on. So let's have a quick look at 1 and 2, because I think these will happen, and they've already started to happen. So rudder, windows, hatch, they're more or less done. Check the keel, let's just get somebody to do it. I've had a quick check and it looks as if it's all right. Varnish washboards, this has started. I'm going to do a separate video on that. I was going to include that in this video, but I'm going to do a separate video on that early in February. And here's, even today, Lucy was just finishing off doing some of the sanding. Let's have a quick clip of that. So here's a little bit of a behind the scenes look. So if you think I actually stay outside in the cold and do this stuff myself, then no, I you know, when you've got a daughter. As I say, The Apprentice is coming on very well. Very pleased with what she's doing. I am cooking her lunch, by the way, as the cost of her doing this. Yeah, she didn't know I was videoing that, but I was nicely in the warm. It's quite cold today. So the washboards are going to be done, and that's basically putting epoxy on the washboards and then the varnishing on the top. Varnish tiller, do the same thing. Interior varnish, Lucy, my daughter, is doing that. Water tank and holding tank, those are kind of half-finished projects. Galley and cooker, I'm hoping that I can do that through February and March sort of time. New seacocks and interior lining. New seacocks is fairly easy. I did one of those and showed that in a video last year. Interior lining, that's just one of the pain in the neck jobs that I didn't want to do, but I'm going to work out what sorts of insulation I need to do before I put the lining in, and I covered that a little bit when I did the theory side of the diesel heater. Number 2, the sort of day sailing liverboard. A new tiller pilot, I've got one of those, so I've got an ST2000. My ST1000 just wasn't powerful enough and gave up the ghost. I do have a Seafeather wind vane steering system, so I like solo sailing and I want to do a lot of sort of single-handed sailing. You really do need a tiller pilot of some sort. Electric windlass, you saw I did an unboxing of that before Christmas. That will probably at least two videos, but I will keep it to an individual sort of video. I won't string this out. There's the physical installation part of that, which I think will be the more difficult part, and then the electrical installation. For the electrical installation, I'm going to do pretty much exactly what Alfie from Life is Like Sailing did, and I don't know when his video was, but if you search his channel you'll see that, and that's more or less exactly how I'm going to do it. It's just the sensible and the easy way of doing it. Fridge, I've got a fridge sorted out now, and I'm going to show a little bit of video in a minute of actually working out what the power consumption characteristics are for that, because that's always the worry with the fridge, that you're actually going to be draining your battery, particularly if you're living on the hook. Obviously it doesn't matter so much if I'm plugged into shore power, but we'll have a look at that. And it takes less current than I thought it might do. V-berth mattress, that's just for comfort, that's easy, you just go and buy it. So very briefly, I won't go through these. You can see these: Scotland, standing rigging, solar wind vane, anchor locker drain, internal grab rails, diesel heater I've done, rewire it. That's actually quite a simple job. These are all simple jobs actually. Stern anchor, that's just a question of buying a stern anchor. More battery power. I am going to work out my power consumption requirements. GoSun oven, I like those little GoSun ovens, and I don't have a, because I've moved to the Origo, I don't actually have an oven at the moment. Habitent, which I've got, and an electric bike, and that's just a question of buying an electric bike and keeping it on the boat. So it's possible that I'll manage to do 1, 2 and 3 this year, and that would be absolutely great, but I probably wouldn't go up to Scotland until I'm fit enough to do it, to be quite honest. And then the 4th one, voyaging Greece. These are all nice to have. AIS, that would be a great thing to have. Storm anchor, life raft, third reef point. I might put a third reef point earlier, because I have been caught out even around the UK when it goes much above sort of 35 knots. You really kind of you feel that a third reefing would be good. Water making, that's total luxury. So you can see the rest of these: Perspex washboards, cooling fan, side ladder, sheet storage and coating, soundproofing. Ask me any questions in the comments if you want. This is just a general plan. I think at least the 1, 2 and possibly the 3 should be sorted out this year. Get back in the water and then go off to somewhere to actually stay on the boat, because I'm feeling a little bit landlocked at the moment. But things will happen as fast as they possibly can, but no faster. That's the general rule. So the next video that's going to come out will be a detailed look at doing the washboards, which, as I say, will be epoxying them and then putting the varnish on the top, and that should be out within a week or so, because that's very nearly finished. But the other thing that I did is I had a look at the power requirements for the fridge. So what I did is and it's quite cold at the moment, so really you need to test out the power requirements for a fridge when it's sort of summer. So I heated up the inside of the boat. I put some I had some milk cartons and I filled them up with water and put them in the fridge, because I don't think you can do this with an empty fridge. So I heated the boat up to as near to 20 degrees as I could get, and then I did 2 tests. First of all, to see how much power was taken up to actually take the temperature down to about 3 degrees, which is typically a sort of fridge temperature, 3 degrees centigrade. And then the next one is I ran the fridge for several hours, 4 hours, to look to see how much current it would actually use. So let's have a look at that. And I've had this open all the time just to get a little bit more kind of ambient air in there to sort of warm these up. So let's close this down. Alright, so that's all off and back to 0, and what I'm really interested in doing is looking at the amp hours consumed. So if I press and hold this button, that will 0 it. Let us switch this on. And it's saying it's 9 degrees inside. The power is on, that's what the green light is. That's not on Eco Max, so first of all I'm going to set this to, it's already on 3, I could set it, it's in degrees, I'm setting it to 3 degrees, and I've set it onto Eco. Not quite sure what Eco does, uses less power. And yeah, so wait and see how long that takes to get down to 3 degrees. The ampage is 3.2, 3.1, and that's, I'm guessing that's the compressor on full. Right, so that's gone down to 3 degrees and cut itself off, and that is exactly, if this will focus, I'll read it to you, that's 13 minutes 30, so about 14 minutes, that's not bad. And obviously the amps have gone down to very, very small, and the amp hours used up says 0. That's not right, is it? I'm going to have to work it out the old-fashioned way. So that was about 14 minutes at about 3 amps. It's a shame actually that this isn't more accurate. It's measuring it accurately, but it's only giving you, I want two decimal points here. But okie doke. Now the next thing to do is to actually look at the current draw over several hours as it's sort of cycling on and off using the thermostat. So I will work out what the actual amp hours were, and I will put a little note up there to say what the actual amp hours draw over that period of time was. Right, so it's a couple of days later. I've done this again. So what I've done is I've set this exactly the same. I got it cooled down, and then I've literally left it for 4 hours. The slight humming you can hear is the dehumidifier, which I've had going on to keep the temperature reasonable. So as you can see, the relative humidity fantastic, 46%, and it's kept at about 18 degrees, so this dehumidifier really does work. So let's have a look at how much we've used. So obviously at the moment it's taking 0 amps because it's down speed. It takes about 2.8 I think when it's going, but let's have a look at the total amp hours. Right, so in 4 hours it's used 3 amp hours to cycle the fridge. So let's call that 4. I'm going to round it up to 4 because it doesn't do decimal points. So that's about an amp hour an hour, which kind of makes sense, doesn't it? If you don't understand amp hours and stuff, actually I will cover it in a future video. But okay, at least I've got an idea now, and it's starting to rain outside typically. So I shall call that it for today. So I was quite happy with that. So about an amp hour to get up to, or get down to really, the operating temperature, and then about, on average, because when the actual compressor is kicking in, it's between 2.8 and 3.2 amps. So it's about an amp hour per hour, and that's good. So that gives me, I've done all the other calculations, and there are videos in the past where I've actually looked to see what the running lights, what the various bits of equipment and so on use up. So I will do a video at some point where I'm actually doing the calculations to see what power, and then I need to look at see what sort of solar and or wind generator power that I might need on the boat. So anyway, that's enough for today. See you very shortly when we'll be looking at the washboards, and then after that hopefully be getting on with the galley. So thanks very much for watching. See you soon.